What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Today, I want to get into two changes I think the New York Jets are going to have to make to their coaching staff. With the Jets playing on Thursday from this past week, a little bit more time to think about some things. It's like a mini bye week, and eventually we'll turn the page and start talking about this game coming up against the Ravens. But over the weekend, I was thinking about the Jets coaching staff, and after the performance against the New England Patriots, I was thinking more about it. And could you blame me at 2-8? Naturally, there's going to be a lot of offseason talk. And look, we've talked a ton about the quarterback so far, and we will continue to talk quarterbacks over the next few months. But today I wanted to focus on two changes that I think the Jets should make to their coaching staff in 2026. Aaron Glenn is going to be back next year. Like it or not, Aaron Glenn is coming back in 2026. I think he should get a second year, but there are some that don't. Someone who I don't think should get a second year on this staff, though, is Steve Wilks, the defensive coordinator. Right now, here's a look at their ranking. They are 19th in yards allowed, 23rd in rushing yards allowed, and 26th in points allowed. A very below average unit. And I get it. Like, there are some significant deficiencies on this defense, especially after trading away Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams. All totally understandable. But, everyone keeps making the comparisons to the Dan Campbell Lions because that's where Aaron Glenn came from, and they were really bad his first year, and then they turned it around a little bit in year two, and they've been good ever since. Well, after year one, Dan Campbell fired veteran offensive coordinator Anthony Lynn. Lynn was the veteran on that staff. He was, a longtime offensive coordinator in the league. He was even a head coach. And they decide to go a different direction. They end up hiring Ben Johnson, and the rest is history. Now Ben Johnson's a head coach. I think the Jets need to do something similar with their veteran defensive coordinator, Steve Wilks. And I didn't mind the veteran route the Jets went with someone who has head coaching experience and has done, been a defensive coordinator before. But to me, clearly, it's not working. And specifically on third downs, they seem like they're okay in their first couple of down, like on first and second down. And then they get into third down situations and it's just everything falls apart. And look, he's bounced around the league a lot. Steve Wilks, he's not someone who usually lasts very long in these places. So maybe there's a reasoning behind that. And it would not shock me if the Jets decide to move on from him at the end of the year. Now, some options for you if they do decide to move on, which I think they should. If Cleveland gets let go, like that staff just gets blown up, Jim Schwartz would be a name that would be high on my list as a great veteran defensive coordinator option. Has had success, even post Detroit as a head coach years and years ago. He went to Buffalo and was good the 1 year he was there. In Philadelphia, had a lot of success. And then as Cleveland's defensive coordinator has had a lot of success. That is the much more veteran approach. I think he's one of the better defensive coordinators in football. I know, Cleveland is not a very good football team right now, but that defense is still good year in and year out. He always has his units ready to go. The other name that brings or makes a lot of sense that it gets brought up a decent amount that I'd be a big fan of is Jim Leonhard, who is the defensive pass game coordinator in Denver and the assistant head coach. Former Jet, fan favorite. We know that 2009 through 2011 was a really good Jet. He was a defensive coordinator before at Wisconsin in the collegiate game from 2017 to 2022. We know how much Aaron Glenn respects Sean Payton. So you have that connection, Darren Muji connection from Denver. Trying to connect the dots. I think eventually you're going to have to see Jim Leonhard take that next step at the NFL level. And if it's not going to happen in Denver, then Peyton's going to have to let him go. And with the mutual respect that he has for Aaron Glenn, would not shock me at all if that's the route that he ends up going. And for Jet fans, look, they went the Aaron Glenn route, former player. Why not continue the former player route and bring in a beloved defensive player from the last time the Jets were good in 2009 and 2010? Guys, think you know football? Then try to turn your football knowledge into real money with the Sleeper app, the ultimate fantasy sports app that can turn game day into payday. Just download the Sleeper app and pick more or less on your favorite players with more stats than any other daily fantasy app. Just choose 2 or more of your favorite players. From pregame or live, pick more or less from the predicted stats, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money if your picks win. Use promo code O'Leary, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And the new offer, free $20 no deposit required promo. Terms and conditions apply. The other less talked about spot that I think the Jets need to upgrade at is quarterback coach. Charles London is the New York Jets quarterback coach. And, we'll go through some of his other stops. In 21 and 22, he was Atlanta's quarterback coach. Then he went to the Titans in 2023 and then Seattle in 2024. And it's not like he was able to develop Desmond Ridder. Matt Ryan had one of his worst years of his career. Will Levis as a rookie. And we're talking like the year that Seattle decided to move on from Geno Smith after the 1 year that he had together with Charles London. And I don't know how many people realize this, right? Like, I don't know how many casual fans know the history of their quarterback coach. I wouldn't really expect you to know this, but Charles London's a former running back. And his most successful stint as a coach in the NFL was as a running back coach with Houston from 2014 to 2017. And then he goes to Chicago even after that. And then Arthur Smith decides, hey, you know what? We're going to end up hiring you to be the quarterback coach for Matt Ryan and then Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder. And he kept getting 1-year jobs on and on down the line. 1 year in Tennessee, 1 year in Seattle, then to the Jets. And I just don't quite understand why. And with the Jets, likely to be looking for a young quarterback either this year or next year, I think you have to do everything you can to make sure that this kid is successful. And I'm a Tanner Engstrand believer, but I think the Jets can do better than a former running back as the quarterback coach who will be tasked with developing that next quarterback. And there's going to be a lot of names that get brought up, like Brian Daboll's going to be a popular one, former Giants head coach, worked with Jackson Dart and Josh Allen. Frank Reich, maybe, right? Didn't work out with Bryce Young, but did wonders with Carson Wentz back in the day. 2016 and 17 had Carson Wentz humming. Could they dip into the Broncos again and pry Pete Carmichael away from Sean Payton to help out old buddy Aaron Glenn? I don't know if Carmichael's going to end up separating from Sean Payton. That'd be pretty surprising considering they spent the entirety of their New Orleans tenure together. But you never know, right? Hey, Pete, you want to come over here and be the quarterback coach and, help us out, please? He's currently just like a senior offensive assistant there. But point being, I think the person that I'd be looking at for offensive or quarterback coach is a more seasoned, proven veteran offensive coach than Charles London, who unfortunately, he could be a great guy. He doesn't have that cachet for, I worked with this quarterback and it worked out great. There's been a lot of misses. Again, you can go back to his work as a running back coach. He worked well with Arian Foster, and you have that to your name, absolutely. And then he went to Chicago after that for a couple of years, and they had success in 2018. Totally fair. But as a quarterback coach, does not have that same cachet to his name. So that's a direction that I would also like to change. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you agree that the Jets should move on from their defensive coordinator and their quarterback coach going into the 2026 season? Let me know. I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time.